Good Friday morning, guys. My name is Jerry Miller, and welcome to Real Talk. This is an insider's guide to real estate, life, and the pursuit of happiness, presented by the Yes Team Realtors and Yes Realty Partners. We're live on the I Love CVille Network. Judah Wickhauer is our director, and Judah, if you could, please go to the studio camera and let's welcome Quinton Beckham to the show. Quinton, good morning, my friend.
Good morning, and I wore your favorite jacket of mine.
I love it. My favorite jacket because of
Just
the
for
inside
you.
lining.
Yeah, the inside lining is pretty amazing.
He's got one custom jacket, and he's wearing it right now. And it looks, two custom jackets.
Yes.
What
You've
was the
seen
second
the
one?
other one, but you were not nearly as excited about it, so.
Well, this one right here pops, and it really matches your personality.
I have a personality now.
You
This
have
is
a
good
great
to know. This
personality.
is good to know.
You're a likable, life of the party kind of guy.
Things that you accumulate over time.
And the inner lining is a life of the party inner lining.
It's great. It's surfboards and skulls.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And that's a Keller Williams t-shirt.
It is a Keller Williams t-shirt, but more importantly, I like the word.
Onward.
Onward.
Why is that important to you?
Because I think, particularly as I think about this last year, you can get so bogged down in everything that's going on around you, and you forget to move. And no matter what it is, if you keep moving forward, you will get out of it. And the world will continue to spin, and life does move on whether you want it to or not. And so I think that whether you run, walk, or crawl, keep moving forward.
Quinton Beckham, philosophical. You know, you are cerebral by nature. Do you feel like you've gotten more cerebral since COVID?
I think that I read really smart people, and I
Okay.
quote them a lot, and people are just confused and think that that's me talking. And it's really just this bevy of authors from over the years.
Because I've seen you recently on social media publishing very poignant prose on people's Facebook pages to either calm them down, center them, offer them hope or positivity.
You might have me confused with somebody else.
You have been doing that. You have been doing that, and people have appreciated it.
I actually think there was only one really thoughtful post, and that was weeks ago.
No.
Yeah.
Quinton Beckham, my friend. All right, so where do we begin here? How about the so much to unpack, so much to get into. Certainly the value of an agent in a market like this, but how about open-ended? How are we looking right now?
I think we talk about the market a lot, and it's at a really fast pace, so there's value in that. I think we're going to enter spring with a little more inventory coming on. I'm starting to see those come online. I don't think we're suddenly going to have a bunch of magic houses appear. So, brace yourselves. If you're out there searching, brace yourselves. And
What does that mean?
The thing I keep saying over and over and over is don't bring a knife to a gunfight. And so when you are a buyer entering the market, be prepared and, be really selective about the house that you go for, and then be prepared to, knock down for it, because there's a lot more people looking than there are houses to sell. And it's very competitive, and not every way to compete has to do with price. So there's a lot of other ways that a realtor can help walk you through to make a clean contract, to make an easy contract, to be flexible with the sellers who are now going to have to turn around and become buyers and make their lives feel simpler, and just be prepared to really flex on things to get into the house that you want.
Questions and comments already coming in for Quinton Beckham here. Let's start with a compliment first. This from Mr. Ben Munson.
Ben.
Mr. Ben Munson, good morning, Quinton Beckham. I'm digging the red plaid blazer. Onward. Made me smile this morning.
It's nice to see you, Ben, and it's nice to see your new space that you're in down in Williamsburg. I hope it all goes well. And I'm particularly impressed with your children.
Ooh.
You have children pictures on Facebook, and they made me smile this morning.
Is that the poignant prose I was just talking about?
No.
That's just Quinton Beckham being a nice man right there. The questions we will get to, if you want to give Quinton Beckham props, put them in the feed here. So with a market as competitive as this, one thing I've learned from you, from Keith, is the value of a realtor has never been stronger.
It's never been stronger, and it's also never been bad. Certainly, if you go through the statistics for 2020, 8% of all the homes that sold were sold by their owners. And I in no way want to denigrate sellers that move forward to sell their own home. There are people that are certainly capable of that. But I would like you to think in metaphor with me for a while.
Sure.
Sometimes it's easier to talk in metaphor. You have to get to Chicago, and you have two choices to get there. You can drive, or you can buy a plane ticket. plane ticket might feel a little more expensive. There's a little more independence and control in driving. Although I would wager, depending on what gas is and how often you stop, and how many times you have to explain to the police officer why the children in the back of the car are screaming, there's an opportunity for that to really cost quite a bit more. And there are a slim percentage of people who, when they go to sell their home, have a private pilot's license, so to speak, would prefer to drive, and somehow feel like that is a deal, because when you're talking about taking a flight, it's all up front. There's a ticket. You're going to spend some money while you're waiting for a plane, especially if you get there early.
And don't forget the drink or two.
Well, yes, but
That's what I do.
in my plane, it's all first class, so the drinks come with the
Quinton
ticket.
Beckham, okay.
And when it comes to the world of real estate, buy a first class ticket. Look
Okay.
for an agent that offers a first class ticket.
I like Quinton Beckham metaphors.
Because you don't want to be in coach with a real estate agent. You want to be up in first class.
Are you a first class real estate agent?
The entire brokerage is. Everybody that works for me.
Okay.
Yeah. And so you're going to get in a car, you're going to drive, you're going to have to stay awake. I don't even know how long it takes to drive to Chicago.
Me either.
I'm a hop a plane kind of guy. You have to know where you're going. You have to deal with any detours on your own. And all the decision making is up to you. And if you're a super smart control freak, this might be the perfect solution for you. And I don't begrudge you. If this really is what you need and this is what's going to work for your life, hop in that car and go. And sometimes you want to drive just for the adventure. Although I'm not so sure you should be adventurous with your real estate transaction.
With your home.
That feels like...
It's a little ballsy.
Yeah, that feels like buying a whole lot of lottery tickets. So... Or you can get on a plane. You're going to have a comfortable seat. There's going to be somebody telling you what's next. You're going to know when you're going to land on the other side. You're going to have your drink, maybe some meal service. And the pilot, you're trusting in the pilot because he has years of experience, thousands of hours in a plane. And yes, there's going to be bumpiness, but you're going to be told to buckle up and have faith that you get to the other side.
That's a hell of an analogy right there.
You can show up rested. You've been taken care of, and you've paid for that privilege, and you might have paid a little bit less to drive. You might not have. You might have paid more to drive. Depends on the route and the day that you're going. But there's a predictability to getting on that plane, and there's an ease of use, and you know what to expect as you go in and out, and you put a lot of faith in the pilot. Most people don't sit and read the resumes of the pilot. You're not going to sit there and ask him how many flights he's had, how many passengers has he lost, has he ever crashed a plane, does he know the dude that can land in the river? You're not going to do that. You walk into this experience trusting this pilot. And you have an advantage with realtors in that you can ask those same sorts of questions. And I think frequently we mistake what is going on behind the scenes, the realtor fixing problems you've never heard of, bringing to bear on your flight to Chicago thousands of hours of experience and hundreds of transactions under their belt to make sure that everything happens
the right way,
cleanly, easily, and safely while you get to have a drink. So I think there is an inherent value in working with an individual real estate agent. And I use that metaphor to just sort of...
It's a great metaphor.
Point out that, you're not always going to know what's going on up in the cockpit, but everything is being paid attention to. There's more than one person looking. They have rules that they follow. Yes, on occasion you get into a holding pattern for a little while, but it is for your own good. So when we boil back down to real estate...
Well, on your metaphor... Patty Winchester, Patty, you've come up twice on this network. She says, what qualities should we be looking for in a first-class real estate agent? Quinton Beckham.
One of my favorites, and I don't know that this is actually something you should repeat because it might be more my pet peeve, but I just want you to be the hell on time. If you tell me, yes, I'm going to come sit at your house with you and we're going to talk about what a listing looks like with me, and I say I'm going to be there at 10 a.m., I should be knocking on your door at 9:55. On time is late.
On time is late.
On time is late. Who was the coach that used to say that all the time?
I'll look it up.
Again, somebody else I'm quoting. See, nothing original here. And I think what you want to see is that they are on time, that they are clear, and that they have a logical path forward that you can see as they're doing the presentation with you. Yes, there's marketing. I know you might not feel like you need marketing in this market. You might not feel like you need to go on the MLS. But the difference between 4 offers and 8 offers can be the difference of thousands of dollars. If you look at 2020's numbers, homes that were sold by an agent, the median was $25,000 higher than homes that were sold for sale by owner. Now, there could be a lot of other reasons for that. Often, for sale by owner, they already know who's going to buy their home.
That's right.
It's been an ongoing conversation. It might have been something for years, some other deal. There's lots of good, solid rationales behind people doing for sale by owner. And so I don't want to make it sound like that's the absolute worst, stupidest decision in the world, because every decision in real estate has to be individualized to the needs of the person doing it. As a general rule, though, if what you're looking for is a smooth transaction with the best price, that $25,000 difference in median price point is your realtor paying for himself through this process while you're sitting in first class with a drink in your head and a sign telling you when to buckle up and that you're going to get to the other side. And so it feels like such an easy trade-off in my brain. And of course, I am a realtor.
Right, you're in the game.
I am a realtor.
And you're the president of CAR.
And I am the president of CAR.
Yeah. CAR, for those that are not watching, Charlottesville Albemarle Association of Realtors.
And I think each person going to sell, as they're sitting across from the agents, you want to have a connection. You want to feel like you can trust this person. They're going to know things about your personal life that not everybody gets to know just by virtue of the fact that they're walking through your house.
Sure.
They're opening doors and cabinets, and you were asking me earlier before the show what my top 3 vices were, and I swore to you that I was not going to say it in this room full of microphones. And you are inviting an agent into your personal life in a way that we rarely do outside of a couple of professionals, like lawyers and
your CPA.
Doctors, your CPA, folks that really get to dig around in our lives.
You guys are inner circle.
So interestingly, not only do we get to move into that space, but we have a similar fiduciary. So in Virginia law, in the paperwork you sign with us, we have a fiduciary just like your attorney does, to represent your best needs, to keep all your secrets and take them to our grave, whether you sell the house or not. So if there is somebody that has a particular medical diagnosis, we may learn that through the point of listing the house, because they're telling us what can and can't happen. We're asking them to move medications where people can't get to them. We might know where very valuable things are. There's a lot of stuff we know, and so this fiduciary establishes a relationship where even above our own needs, we need to protect you. And I think the important thing to realize there is that in the entire real estate transaction, the realtor is the only person who has this responsibility to put you first and to make things be first for you, to meet your needs, to be honest, and to help all the laws get followed. And so I do think there is just inherently, any non-realtor versus having a realtor, there are inherent advantages that come packaged with the deal. Every pilot knows he's responsible for everybody in that plane and everything that happens. And in the same way, realtors accept the responsibility of meeting your needs and getting you through to the other side. When you are speaking to the realtor across the table, you want to have that sort of trust because this is what you're entrusting them with. And so I think it's very valid to interview several, find the one you click with. Most people don't. Most people have pre-identified an agent before they get to that process. But as you go through, you want them to be trustworthy. You want them to be on time. I mean, if it's me, you want them to be on time. If it was me, I would want them to have a plan for, on this day we're going to do this with your house, and on this day we're going to do this, and on this day we're going to do this, so that you can say, well, this is my schedule, this is when I'm ready to go, and you can map out where we're headed and how we're going to get your house on and what the timing's going to be.
This is an interesting question that's coming in. You've hit a hot topic here with the viewers. This is on Twitter. Laureen Benson. Jerry, please ask Quinton this question. All of us have an agent that is a friend. How do we balance the line of using our friends who are agents to sell our homes?
I would tell you to evaluate them like you would anybody else. I have a lot of friends that are doctors. And so depending on what I need, I might end up sitting across from a doctor that knows me. He's still going to keep all of my personal information personal. He's still going to provide the best service. This is what he has trained, learned, and striven to do for his entire life. And I do believe most realtors are in that exact same boat, whether they're your friends or not.
Because we all have a realtor who's a friend.
By and large, yes,
Yeah.
because most realtors.
There's a ton of realtors.
Yeah, well, I don't know that there's a ton, actually.
Really?
There are more than a handful. I think in our local area, it's somewhere around 1,200,
Right.
give or take, depending on what day of the week we're talking. But you can start to see ones that really get a system built that serves the needs of their clients. And I think we bring successful realtors, as you're talking to them, as you're interviewing, whether they're your friends or not, what you're looking for is the value they bring to the transaction. Because it's more than just the marketing and it's more than just the pictures. It's the home inspectors, it's the contacts they have, being the source of the source for everything you need as you move through this transaction and your sense of comfort. This is why I say there's no coach. There are probably coach realtors and coach real estate agencies and that sort of thing, and maybe that's fine. Me personally, I'm not interested in coach. I want everybody up in first class because it makes your entire experience better as you move from listing to sale to moving to your new home. And you're never going to get that from an app. You're never going to get that from a service. And those are the things that when we complete that transaction as realtors, this is why 4 out of 5 people that have sold a home with an agent will recommend him to somebody else, or will use him again, or her, because they've had such a great experience that even if they felt like it was a little more money, because sometimes that plane ticket is a little more money, the value they get back out of it makes it totally worth it.
That is a really good metaphor for your description of what you're trying to convey to folks. And you're getting props from Rachel Burns. Rachel, what's up? Drew Swirsky.
Drew Swirsky.
Swirsky is watching
really
right
great
now.
agent up north of us.
Arlene Stannis.
That is my really good friend's mother and part of my adopted family.
She's watching right now. Michael Beckham, you get what you pay for.
That's my nephew.
That's your nephew watching right now. Ben Munson says, thank you on both compliments. I can't wait to host you and some Charlottesville folks in the new space in Williamsburg. Christopher Eagle, it takes 11 hours to drive from Charlottesville to Chicago.
Is it 11 hours? Okay.
11 hours. Multiple people have put 11 hours on the feed. This is a great stat that you brought up. Roughly 1,200 agents in the Central Virginia region. Is
In
Carr.
Charlottesville, Carr, the surrounding counties, yes.
Here's a question that multiple people are asking, and I'm wondering myself, is that a lot for a market this size? I really don't know. Because what do we have, roughly 300,000 people in the market?
You know, I don't know that there's any good way to measure that.
Okay.
The number of agents that should be present are enough agents so that everybody gets good value, service, and care, no matter what part of the market you're in.
Okay, so you're basically saying the market determines how many agents service the market.
And there's actually, I want to say it's an economist, but I could be misquoting, that has a real estate law. As real estate heats up, more people become real estate agents. Real estate cools down, less people become real estate agents. And that has held true for decades. And so I think we naturally flex as an industry to sort of meet these needs.
Very well said. One of the agents that's active right now, Tommy Brannick told me this in 2007, 2008, right during the last crash here. He says, in tough times, it ends up being, and I'm probably going to misquote him, but it's a roundabout. I'll throw it to you. It's like in tough times, it's like 15, 20% of the agents start doing 80, 85% of the business. And then good times, those numbers start to shift a little bit.
Well, you know, everybody has a bucket, and everybody's bucket gets full. And so when you do have the people that are going to push onward, even if it's 7, 8, 9, and we're in the middle of the crash, you're in the middle of a crash, they've got more space in their bucket, and they're going to push onward, and they have been around for years for a reason. And so I think, you know, one of the things that we always bring to the table that's very hard to quantify is, on average, somebody might do this 3 times. We're doing it every day. It's happening every day. When things come up that might make a seller or buyer's heart race.
You're talking transactions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've probably seen it before. And if I personally haven't seen it before, there's 120 other agents in my brokerage to talk to. I am not the expert on everything. Collectively, we are the expert on just about everything. And between your brokerage and your association, within the guidelines of our code of ethics, things can be worked out. And that brings me to another point. You know, if you do a survey on trust,
You've told me this before.
Real estate agents are
Yeah.
down somewhere with attorneys and lawyers.
You're a step above.
I don't know exactly where we're at in the most recent ones, but you know, it's not like we're up there with your minister. And that is such an interesting thing for me. And I'm sure a lot of that comes from the crash and the perception and how that works. But whatever you might or might not think about real estate agents and realtors specifically, this is an industry that, despite its commitment to being good businessmen, also agreed on their own to have a code of ethics, to put it in place, and to
Realtors.
self-police.
Yeah, realtors.
Yes, and to self-police to guarantee that while the fiduciary was happening, there was a certain standard that was maintained for every member of the association, and for an organization, for an entire industry to do that. And, you know, it wasn't probably terribly great when it first started, and it's had different permutations, and we've gotten better at it as time has gone along. People get smarter at it. It has turned into the thing that helps define the value system, so that, you know, you might be in that holding pattern so somebody else can get on the ground safely, because there is a code and a set of priorities that dictate how we operate with one another.
Sure. And that's invaluable. That's invaluable.
It's invaluable, and it's moderately unique. Pick another big industry.
I mean, you highlighted a couple. Medicine has that.
Pick another big, well, medicine has a lot of, I think there's a misnomer here.
Okay.
Medicine has a whole lot of regulations,
Uh-huh.
and they have an AMA, and it is nearly impossible to get a doctor's license taken. And if you're interested in how all that works, there's a podcast called Dr. Death. Read it. It'll keep you awake for a long time. But I think in our industry, we have a really effective, functional, practical code of ethics with a quick turnaround that has reasonable and sometimes harsh standards and punishments. And so you have to, you know, coming into it, that you're accepting to live by this. You know, one of my favorite lines that I read over and over is that, you know, we love these, and we go on Zillow and we do a bunch of stuff, and these apps run on code, but your realtor lives by one, and he operates by one, and you see it in their life 24/7 in how they negotiate, in the truth of how they negotiate, and how things operate. And so I think there is, if anybody's interested, look it up online. Association of Realtors Code of Ethics. It'll pop right up. You can read through the whole thing, and it includes our duties to the public, our duties to clients, and our duties to one another.
What you're saying is ringing true with a lot of people. Kathy Yurick, giving you some props now. Questions coming in. Brian Sherling says, Jerry, I love your shows and the content you put out. We try to watch as much as possible. Please ask Mr. Beckham if he's concerned at all about a bubble on the horizon.
Not in the typical terms of what we would call a bubble.
Okay.
I don't foresee an ability for prices to continue to soar ad infinitum.
Okay. Oh, explain that. Because you're basically saying the prices are getting pretty expensive right now.
Well, yes, inventory drives up prices so long as there's demand. And at some point, we've seen mortgage rates creep up by, half a point, I think. They're still amazingly low. And, I'm from an era where my first house purchase, my mortgage rate was 18%.
That was in California?
It was in California in the 80s.
Good night. What was the price of that house?
$195,000.
Okay. So, and what was your monthly payment on that?
I don't even remember. In $2,000, probably $2,600 a month. It was just a completely different world. We are in a much better situation. A bubble also requires a sudden devaluation for a bubble and for a bubble to burst. Because what you're saying by a bubble is that you have this fake film full of nothing propping up speculation. And that's not what's happening here. The value in the houses is real, and it will prevent a lot of foreclosures, because even people that, when we come out of the foreclosure, give me a word, I need more
It's
coffee.
the bereavement. Is that the word? It's there's a little period of time where
June comes along, and now you can be foreclosed on again.
Okay, there we go. Yeah.
And when that happens, most people that can't catch up on the payments or won't be able to still have great value in that house to sell it.
Okay.
And not be foreclosed upon. There's going to be a lot of opportunity for these people to not be destitute, homeless, and completely without a home sitting there with no owner.
Does that create more inventory? Or is that inventory through the forced close process
If you're waiting, hoping for a big wave of foreclosures,
That's not gonna happen.
That's not going to happen.
Okay.
No, nobody believes that's going to happen.
Okay.
We're not 100% sure on how all the federal stimulus, and I say we like I had anything to do with this, all of the very smart people that I read about, usually they, like the 8 or 9 of them, agree in a general direction. None of them are really 100% certain on how the stimulus is going to affect the lending market and what's going to come out. So I think we're in this period where the market's going to be what it is now for a while, and there's still great value in the homes. That's not going to change. We know there is not enough inventory. That's not new, and it's not because of the pandemic. We have not had enough new construction for 10 years. So since the crash, we put some new builders and developers out of business. They were a little more hesitant. There was some caution. And for 10 years, we have underbuilt. And you have an entire generation coming of an age where they now have children, they're married, they're growing families, and they are living in spaces that don't accommodate that, and they're looking for single-family homes. So although the pandemic might have pushed the gas pedal on this, it didn't create the road that we're on. That has been here all along. It just sped up us getting to this point in the inventory.
More questions. Cheryl Johnson. Jerry, ask your guest about this topic. We're a family of 3. We've put 4 offers on homes, and each time we've outbid and lost the house we wanted. Are we better off waiting? When will it be a buyer's market? That's a good question.
It's a fair question. One, I think the better off waiting has a lot to do with your personal circumstance. So not knowing that and not wanting you to type it on social media.
Right.
There's 75% of your answer you already know, because it's, why are we seeking to move? Do we have to move? And is the difference in our quality of life so much better that I need to keep going down to the mat? I would really look into, as you're sitting with your realtor looking at those other contracts, is there anything else that can be done to make it a cleaner, smoother, more attractive contract to the seller? Outside of that, what most people are asking is, should I sit tight? And there's going to come this moment where the market suddenly changes.
That's what she's asking. When does it go to a buyer's market?
That is the,
Yeah.
who knows?
Yeah, you can't predict that.
Who knows?
Right.
One, I don't know that we're going to see a buyer's market like people think of it very quickly, just because we still have this lack of inventory. And so people and families are not going away. So there's always, I say always, for a while to come, this inventory is going to be a problem. And so you're not going to see this sudden depreciation and empty houses sitting around. The social reasons to be in a single family home are still very compelling. And so I think as we started out, I think you keep working with your agent and you keep identifying homes and you just make sure you're doing everything you can to be the strongest, best, cleanest offer that you can possibly be within the constraints of what you're needing personally.
This question's coming in from Rick, and he wants me to bring up the article in the newspaper about new housing units from Albemarle County in Charlottesville. I don't have that article in front of me. Maybe I can ask Quint in general terms about this. He's talking about the new construction that's coming on the market. There's other questions coming in, and this is an intriguing one from someone who works in finance, not in lending. Jerry, please don't use my name. Please ask Quinton. He knows who I am. To compare and contrast now to potentially 2008 and explain to everyone why now we're much safer and it's way more different than 2008.
Oh, it's completely different from
This
2008.
is an important topic here.
So if you're worried that the house you bought last week for $400,000 is suddenly going to be worth $150,000, that's not going to happen. The entire dynamic of what led us to the 2008 crash is different.
Yeah.
The way money is
Lent.
mortgaged and lent, that feels like such a strange word. Right. It's like saying moist. It's just
that's
it's just,
my least favorite word.
You feel weird when you say it.
I just got the creepy crawlies on moist. Everyone hates that word.
It's a terrible word.
Yeah.
It's a terrible word. And I try to use damp, but then I have to really pronounce the P or it sounds like I'm just cursing.
You're cursing, yeah.
We're in a completely different world from that. And if you really read about what the original real estate bubble and how that happened, it was really a couple of bubbles that led up to the big one. The value in these houses is real and it exists. And so we are not in the same place at all. There is not a sudden devaluation that is going to create foreclosures because the homes aren't worth it. The foreclosures we're talking about are because people's incomes have been abrogated by the pandemic, not because the houses no longer qualify to hold on to the note.
That's an extremely important distinction.
And so we are in a completely different space.
Yeah.
There's a lot of moving parts to this. And so going back to the question of should I sit it out, part of the answer to that question is what is the market going to be like in 6 months? And I think the crystal ball is foggier right now because there is so much that's changing. And I think the market is going to be what it is for as long as we are still actively in the pandemic. We're going to get out of the pandemic and there's going to be a new economic reality that's not like the old one. And nobody's 100% certain on what that's going to be. It'll be better, but better doesn't create houses that haven't been built. There is a lot of new construction that has been coming online. There's permits that have been applied for that will be coming online.
Multiple questions on that.
Yeah. There's a lot of that out there, and people should pay attention to that. But the developments that have been opening for a couple of years now have been selling out very quickly because of the demand. So I applaud.
What's quick sellout mean? Like before shovel hits dirt?
If you, the townhomes that Southern Development built, they sold those out as quick as they could get certificates of occupancy.
So before
Many
construction?
of them were pre-sold.
Really?
There was no house outside of the model sitting there complete, waiting for a buyer. And so we do want this new construction to continue. It's needed. Every addition to inventory helps us. We are still a little ways behind, and by a little ways I mean a lot.
From inventory to market?
From an inventory to demand perspective.
Are we as far behind as any market in Virginia? I mean, can we compare to other markets here? I mean, are we at like Northern Virginia clip, not that clip?
It's hard to compare because the things that compel the demand are different. Nationally, we're behind. That's not going to change fast. It's going to take some time. We also have a shift in what kinds of houses are under. They're not just dwellings anymore. There's a shift in what you want in a house. So if you've got all the money in the world so you can beat out any buyer, are you going to pick a house with broadband or with satellite? Are you going to pick a house with an office or no office? If you have all the money in the world so you can beat out any buyer and you're going to write a cash offer and you have children, Do you want them to have to share a bedroom? Do you want a basement that could maybe be a space where they could do some schoolwork? The kinds of demand that we're talking about are changing. And what we have seen happen in the pandemic, which I don't think is going to be permanent and hugely dramatic, but we spent 10 years centering our homeownership around urbanization and moving away from the 80s suburban life. And there has been a move back. People are wanting green space around them and
backyard.
And
kids
a
are
backyard
home more than ever.
And sidewalks they can jog
Yeah.
on without competing with a delivery truck, and all of the things that make them have a more rich, full life, with their life being located at home a much higher percentage of the time.
Well said. Well said. Nikki Wooten-Chambliss giving you the big heart. I believe, Nikki Wooten-Chambliss, I saw your front yard, a Keller Williams Ferry delivered you a Keller Williams sign because you were a top 20% producer?
That's right.
I saw it on her Facebook page. She was very impressed, very surprised.
If you scroll through, there's several.
There's
folks.
a lot of them. It's going around. Are you
Several
that ferry?
folks.
Are you the Keller Williams Ferry bringing out the signs?
There's no reason to go there.
Let's
not do that.
Are
I'm
you
in-
dropping
I'm
the
in the
signs
room.
off? Get down like that, homie. Are you dropping those signs? That was funny, Quinton Beckham.
They appear as if by magic.
Okay, so it's like the Tooth Fairy for real?
It's a lot like texting.
Really?
It just goes up to the space and it drops down at home.
Quinton Beckham, you crack me up. This is a good question right here. Quinton, do you see two markets in Central Virginia? It almost seems like Albemarle County and Charlottesville is its own market, and then the rest of Central Virginia is its own market.
If that was true, it's not true anymore.
What do you mean by that?
We've gone from location to location broadband, and the opportunity to live further from work and be just as productive
Is it real?
is real in a way that was always possible. We just didn't embrace it.
Right.
And
Well said.
as a business owner and knowing many business owners that are smaller businesses, that's not going to go back. We're not going to suddenly flip the switch and be 100% in the office. Now, people want to be in the office. They want that interaction. They want that time. But people don't want to live in the office anymore. They've also invested a lot of money making, the folks that have sat tight have invested money like making this perfect home office and doing home improvement, and now to tell them to leave all that.
Yeah, they want to use
and
it.
go work in this space that's gray that,
Right. It's a cubicle.
Yeah. And these sort of ready to be redone spaces where, if you're being told you're going to be forced to work there, that's a little less palatable. And I think there was a impression by business owners that the minute we let people work from home, everything would fall apart. Their productivity would go into the toilet. They'd really be sitting playing solitaire on their computer, like they don't do that in the office anyway. And that's not at all what people saw happen.
So you're saying maybe Nelson County, Louisa County's got a
I'm
commitment
saying
to
that
broadband.
the ability of business to be connected to their employees, and I say connected in the internet and emotional contact sort of way, is no longer restricted to an office space. It is broader than that. Offices are not going to go away, but you don't need a chair and a desk for every single person 100% of the time. And so I think as we move through a lot of the new construction that's coming on, the demand's going to be different, and I think we have an opportunity in geography in the association CAR as well as Greater Augusta and some of our neighboring things. People might find one of my agents because they started looking in Charlottesville and now they're buying a place in Stanton.
That's happening.
Or they're buying a place in Fluvanna.
Waynesboro.
Or, there's the opportunity to be geographically wider means that the market is not so much about what county you're in, it's about what house you have.
Broadband and the impact it's having on values. We saw that with Nelson County. We read this week that Louisa County is committing to broadband throughout the county by 2024 or 2025.
Mm-hmm.
I can't believe I'm going to ask this question. I've been here 20 years.
Oh my gosh, you're so old.
I never thought in that 20 years I would ask a question to somebody like you, president of CAR. With broadband coming to Louisa, and Albemarle County and Charlottesville skyrocketing in price, could Louisa County become a hot spot for real estate?
Well, look, we're talking like these counties are undesirable, and that's not true.
It's a further drive, though.
Any developer who, in partnership with a municipality, gets it right, will have buyers at their doorstep. And it does not have to be co-located with some sort of urban downtown. And in fact, that might actually work against it.
Interesting.
So, there's broadband's important, but the entire schema of how people are looking at living their lives has changed. And our first-time home buyers, which are the ones that really are pushing the demand, need all the things that a retiree doesn't. And they need it more. I live in a 1940s house, and the bedrooms are small. Like, the original bedrooms are really small. And if you had 5 kids, you had to have bunk beds because there was only one room for them. And we're not going to build houses like that anymore. So I think there's a lot of construction coming on that's going to help. It's not going to fix the problem. And we have an opportunity when we talk about inventory and more housing affordability. We have an opportunity now that we didn't have before the pandemic, because it no longer has to be right there.
Right. He's talking downtown.
To be valuable.
Right.
And to be desirable. I'm not saying that this is not going to be valuable and desirable, but there is just a lot more opportunity. People that have been on the upper arm of the K-shaped recovery have had way more savings. If you look at the national statistics and you sort of read into what's happened in Nelson County, those are second homes because nobody can go anywhere anymore. And they've been sitting accumulating all this cash because everybody's bar tabs have gone down to zero.
That's true.
And this upper arm of the K-shaped recovery, they never stopped working. Their salary didn't change. They moved. Maybe they're spending a little more money because they use Instacart. But by and large,
we're saving money.
They're saving a ton of money. Americans have saved more money in the last 18 months than at any point since the 50s.
Unlike any other recession we've ever had, this recession.
Yes, and this is also another reason that we're not going to have the same sort of bubble that we had before, but that's
a different show.
Sideline.
Yeah.
So
you made Nikki's day, by the way. Whoever did the sign, and then the fact that we're acknowledging it just made her day. Elise Wood, is that right?
Yep.
Is watching the program. Kathy Urick, again, giving you some props. This is an intriguing question. And a lot of folks calling you Mr. Beckham on the feed here. Can we call him Quinton or QB? You like those better, don't you?
I'm okay with any of it.
Okay. All right, well, then let's go with Mr. Beckham. Mr. Beckham, what are the folks doing with the homes that they're buying around here that are smaller?
Living in them.
I guess the question, and it's just a one-sentence question, I'll expand on it. Are they redoing them? Are they knocking them down? Are they adding to them?
I think there's some of that, but a lot of people are just trying to get out of renting, and they have been for a while. So Belmont's still very popular.
Yep.
We've all seen that in the listings and the sales. Belmont continues to be popular. It also has many parks. It's got great access to the Ravenna trails. There's an opportunity to live there. But if I am a young professional that's entering my 8 years of residency, why not buy a smaller home and stop paying rent and have something with a value at the end of the 8 years as opposed to throwing that money into the wind?
Keith Smith, our buddy, new construction. We will see in the next 12 to 36 months substantial increase in new lots and homes within the surrounding counties, Fluvanna, Louisa, Nelson, Greene, and Augusta. Stay tuned, folks. What do you make of that?
I'm for it.
We all are.
I'm for it. And I really, I actually have my car president pin on today. One of the things that really is encouraging to me when we talk about using realtors, there's the advantage for you individually buying and selling, but realtors collectively, we're very invested in our communities. Forget the National Association of Realtors. CAR is very invested in its community. And last year, we raised over $30,000.
Wow.
With a large matching contribution from Virginia State, so they need special props for that. For the Blue Ridge Area Food Bank, because they were needing to drop off more meals. That's the equivalent of 120,000 meals. And so your individual realtor has your best interests at heart and a fiduciary that requires it legally. And collectively, realtors have a real commitment to their community and a commitment to homeownership. AHIP, that we have many volunteer days for, we do much fundraising for, that helps people stay in their generational homes by creating utilities that are more affordable, by fixing things that people on fixed income wouldn't otherwise be able to fix that might kick them out, by making it accessible when they've aged and they can't make it up the 6 steps to the front door anymore. And so there's a lot that goes on collectively in the realtor community to promote home ownership and to move us towards housing affordability. The association is in the works of finishing up this year establishing a foundation that's a 501c3 and funding it for the next 3 to 4 years. We're waiting to see how all that works out. I might be speaking too soon because we're not done with that yet, but it's in the works, and I would imagine we will be done this year so that local nonprofits that are promoting housing affordability will have a board that they can apply to and submit RFPs and receive funding, and people can donate directly to an organization with a tax benefit that helps promote housing affordability. It's in our Code of Public Policy. If you want to know about our Code of Public Policy, ask Neil. In our Code of Public Policy,
Neil's watching.
we want absolutely every opportunity at every level of the socioeconomic ladder, regardless of what you look like or where you go to church or how you identify, you deserve a chance to own a home, and we are for that. And I think people get lost thinking that every time the price goes up 20%, we're applauding because it feels like more money for us. And that's not
actually the opposite, isn't it?
It's bad business.
Yeah.
You know, it's actually good business.
Can we go down that road?
It's good business to have a lot more stuff to sell.
Yeah. The agents actually don't want the prices to get outlandish. And I initially thought otherwise, but now I see that's not the case.
You know, I'm sure that agents love when they get a big commission check. Who doesn't love having a great payday? On the other hand, there reaches a point
You're doing less transactions.
where you outpace the market, and as you move up that scale, the demand diminishes. And so it's all evening out.
Especially in your business, because it's so word of mouth. When you do less transactions, there's less word of mouth buzz of your performance out there.
And I also think, like, it's really good business. We want more houses to sell. And to be fair, every time we sell an $800,000 home, it takes pressure off the $400,000 market.
Right.
You know, it relieves pressure. So even though...
That's important to emphasize that.
You know, we talk a lot about affordable housing with a capital A, and I had a great talk yesterday, I think it was, this has been a busy week, with Lisa Sturdivant about this.
Dr. Lisa Sturdivant.
She knows so much more about this.
Virginia Realtors economist.
I feel like every time I speak to her...
Yeah, you learn something.
I'm smarter when I walk away. And a lot of what I say where people go like, ooh, he knows things, I'm really just copying her.
You just have a good memory.
You know, she's given, I have reports of hers that are open on my iPad sitting in front of me, and I'm remembering conversations that she and I have had. Every time we sell a house that's in the upper bracket, it's not forcing somebody that can compete and drive up a price to move a 350 house and make it now worth 400.
We should explain that to so many people,
and so
especially elected officials.
It's a pressure point.
Yeah.
And if you think of us, I think one of the things that people do wrong when they think about realtors, and part of why we rank where we rank, is they think that our absolute first concern is the money. Don't get me wrong. I've been poor, and I've had money, and I would rather have money. Let's be clear. I want my agents to do well. I love seeing agents come in and succeed. Many people enter real estate because of a deep personal need. They come from a place where they really have to succeed. It's their one shot to achieve goals and dreams for themselves and their family. And it's really makes me happy as a broker, and I think a lot of my other broker friends in town would agree. There's some sort of deep satisfaction about helping people do that, and helping single moms that maybe have had a really rough time and they're not feeling so strong when they first show up, watching them grow and achieve and take control of their lives in a way that might have been denied to them in the past. There's something really satisfying about agents coming in that have a real commitment to affordable housing and have spent years doing the work to know about it, and now they're participating in it at all levels. And they are promoting diversity because they can speak to a community that doesn't recognize my face and what I look like. And so there is so much community wrapped into the process of real estate, and I think we get thrown under the bus as a general rule, and there's probably some folks that deserve it. It's a spectrum, but our whole industry gets thrown under the bus when there has been and continues to be such a commitment to the community and such a commitment to fairness, accessibility, and equity. And it hasn't always been as strong as it is today, and so that's probably part of the problem. That's our fault collectively. But the conversations that have been going on in the last several years, the work that's being done, and the moves that have been made both in policy and regulation and where we've put the money that we have donated, I think speaks to a shift and a real, true, solid, behind it, hands dirty commitment to making true for a greater percentage of the population this American dream.
Well said. You're on fire.
I'm not, but I think the coffee kicked in.
Yeah, the coffee kicked in.
It's the coffee in the orange jacket.
Quinton Beckham. Keith Smith says it's always about taking care of the customer. The money will
It's
follow.
always about taking care of the customer.
Yeah.
And if you're strictly a business person, if you only want to talk about the business angle, and this is going to be a lousy metaphor, so I don't, I'm sorry I'm putting this out there on tape.
Ray Cadell just shared the show. He likes your metaphors.
Oh, thanks, Ray.
Yeah.
Ray's a lot of fun. I like Ray's music, and I'm sorry that I haven't gotten to see him so much. It's a bad metaphor, but who makes more money, Tesla or Target?
I'd say Target makes more money.
Target.
Yeah.
We want a full spectrum
Yeah.
of opportunity if we're just thinking of it from a business point of view. It's also better for municipalities. If you want a better tax base, if you want more seated communities, you want people that live in a space that love the space, and it helps build wealth. I mean, forget about, people think about houses building wealth because, well, I bought it for $250,000 and now I'm going to sell it for 1.5. Okay, maybe if you're in the right part of the world. But really what you're doing is you're fixing your housing costs at today's rate and guaranteeing it for 30 years.
And let's not forget the tax advantages.
So every time some big monstrous apartment community, and we need those too, every time one of them raises the rates, the person that bought that 2-bedroom, small square footage house in Belmont is still paying the same thing. They can live there for 8 years and predict their payment all the way out. And that is a huge difference over the course of years in your personal wealth because you get to keep your raises instead of passing them on to a landlord. We need rentals, and I'm not dissing landlords, because they're paying higher taxes, they're paying upkeep. It's the way it has to work. But the more we can relieve pressure, and that can be through rentals too, the better the housing market gets, the more accessible the housing market gets.
Great. Grace just said we have a lot of rentals now. Why does Quinton think we need more rentals?
I'm not suggesting we need more. I'm saying that they have a role to play and it's not gone away. And I have not looked at the numbers to know if I'm accurate in saying we don't need more. I know that housing and rentals in our community have been a big deal because we have had a lot of push for houses to be for student housing. And so what we want to create is rentals for student housing so that houses can be citizens that are here in the city for life and they own a home. And we're not trying to shove students out of the city. The university is a great part of our economy and it certainly stimulates it, but you want to balance it. You don't want a longtime Charlottesville resident losing out on a homeowner status because students competed. You want them to have a good place to live that suits their needs, that keeps them safe, active while they're here, that doesn't soak up 3 houses in the 10th and Page neighborhood.
Quinton Beckham. Margie Diaz, good morning, gentlemen. Nicholas Erpy from the Emergent Financial Services
Hey,
family.
she called us gentlemen?
Yeah, she called us gentlemen. I think
She
she was
must not
talking to
know
you.
you.
She was talking to you, not me. Multiple folks, help me with this word, benevolent dictator has
Benevolent dictator.
Has spoken. That's
Yeah.
Quinton Beckham, the benevolent dictator, has spoken from multiple
It's
folks.
one of the nicknames when I was announced.
What are
as
your other
president.
nicknames?
That's sort of like the 3 vices. We're not going to do that.
Come on, the nicknames is safer. The nicknames is safer. Give us one good nickname.
I thought benevolent dictator was good.
It is good.
And technically that's 2.
Yeah.
So.
What are you saying? Dictator and, QB is the other one?
And benevolent.
And benevolent, there you go. My friend, you were fantastic. This is a really good setting for you. This long form where you're able to kind of like get deep into your thoughts and your mind and get them out there.
I was hoping to have a guest because I assume people get tired of hearing me.
I don't
know
think so.
I get tired of hearing me.
I don't think so.
And they just had too much going on and were not able to make it today. And so you got stuck with me today.
You did a hell of a job.
And I think what I really want people to walk away with, when you are working with a realtor, you're not just protecting your individual transaction, you're also supporting your community. And if you're not sure how that works, call the association, email us. We will tell you some of the things that we do that can be participated in. We will tell you the next time we're having a blood drive, because we host those too.
He's the president of the association.
There's a lot of value for the community in the Realtor Association and in the support that they get. So there is, every time you're paying a commission, which probably the realtor made work because you get a better price when you use a realtor, they're also giving a portion of it back. And stronger communities make for better home values, they make for better homes, and they make for more housing affordability.
You did a hell of a job today. Did you get a new haircut?
No, I need a haircut really
Okay,
bad.
multiple people are asking if you got a haircut.
I want one.
Okay.
I actually was at somebody's house and just tried to see if they had clippers, and they did not. I just want a haircut so bad.
Yeah?
And, you have to make an appointment now. You can't just, walk into
Sure.
a place. And it just hasn't worked for me yet. Life has been too busy.
You're a busy dude. Weekend plans, my friend? Working, besides working?
There's work, and, it's just me at home, so there's got to be laundry and dishes and that kind of stuff that happens too.
Okay. Any final words for everybody?
Just keep moving onward. I know that getting vaccinated is frustrating. I know that
It has been frustrating.
It's terribly frustrating, and I think because the people we want to have the answers also don't have answers, and so we don't know who else to talk to. I do know in some of the areas around us, they've started receiving the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. More appointments are being made. Production is ramping up. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. Just keep moving forward. This too shall pass.
Do you have a preference on a vaccine, or is it whatever's available, put it in my arm?
Fast.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Get it in my arm. Same
Yeah.
with my wife. Quinton Beckham, guys. Quinton Beckham is A-plus people. Keith Smith is back on Tuesday, but I'll tell you what, Quinton Beckham, anytime you want to come here, open invitation.
I appreciate you guys having me.
Seriously. Quinton Beckham, guys. Judah Wickower, the director. My name is Jerry Miller. This is Real Talk, presented by Keller Williams, Charlottesville Settlement Company, Intrastate Pest and Service Companies. Scott Morris, just a fantastic lender in the game, a trusted advisor in the game. Ray Cadell, in my 36 years of real estate career, way over 50% of my transactions have been first-time home buyers. And if you count the first-time home buyers that have moved up with me, it's almost 75%. We love when you watch the show, Ray Cadell. Thank you for joining us today on the program. We will see you at 12:30, guys, on the I Love CVille show. Take care. Good job.
Thank you.